Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and friends join the Seattle Symphony for Peanuts' 75th anniversary on March 27th, 28th, and 29th at Benaroya Hall. Peanuts comes to the symphonic stage with a live host, actors in costume, imagery from the show, and Vince Guaraldi's music. Plus, use promo code SNOOPY, SNOOPY, to unlock 15% off tickets. Get tickets now at seattlesymphony.org. This is CityCast Seattle. I'm Jane C. Hu, and here's what Seattle's talking about. More layoffs at Meta might signal the end of Zuck's big dreams for the metaverse. But in happier news, it's Friday, the cherry blossoms are in full bloom, and everyone is smiling at each other in the streets because the sun is out. We've got your weekend recs coming up. But first, we got to take a little preview ride of the Crosslake connection between Seattle and the East Side. That opens to the public at around 10 a.m. on Saturday. Creative producer Sam J. Leeds was there with me. So
I was.
Sam is here to talk about it. And we also have executive producer Ashley Smith with us. Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you. I cannot wait to hear about your experience, and I'm so jealous.
It was so fun. It was just very exciting to get to ride this train after seeing it go across 90. Like, I've seen it from the car. I've seen it from the bike lane on the 90 trail. And it was so cool to actually just be on the train.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Tell me everything. Was it like, did it live up to the hype going over the water like that?
I mean, you couldn't have picked a more perfect day. It was
True.
So sunny. It's like that, that gorgeous classic view when you go across the floating bridge. The mountain was out on the drive over to Bellevue, but then we rode from Bellevue back to Seattle. And the mountain decided to be a little shy. She was hiding. But the views were just, they were incredible. And it's so cool to actually get to take them in instead of being in a car, having to pay attention to the road.
Or even on a bike. I rode across the same bridge on my way home, and it's not my favorite part of that ride. It's loud. You've got all the cars around you. It's a little bumpy. I will say it's much more pleasant when you get to enjoy the view from the inside of a light rail train.
That's so true.
It's also pretty fun to be there with a whole host of other media people who are all nerding out about a train.
I was saying that it felt kind of like a middle school field trip vibe.
Oh yeah, so this was like a special media ride, like media event. So that's why you guys got to go early. Did you run into anybody we know? You see Ryan Packer out there?
We sure did.
Contributor Ryan Packer was there, as was contributor Hannah Krieg.
Nice. I love that.
We also saw council member Claudia Balducci, and we saw, of course, Dow Constantine was there.
Oh.
So, it was a veritable who's who of Seattle.
In case folks forgot, Dow Constantine is now CEO of Sound Transit after most recently having been King County executive. So
I don't know about y'all, but one of my favorite parts of a new light rail station opening is getting to see the art at the station.
Yeah.
So we got to see the art both at the Mercer Island station and also at Judkins Park. Jane, what about the art stood out to you, or what did you think when you saw it?
So the Judkins Park art was by a local artist who was the director of the Northwest African American Art Museum. And her work is apparently changed more towards paper cut style in recent years. And you can really see that in the art at Judkins. It's really beautiful. Apparently it was inspired by just walks around the neighborhood and what she sees around the neighborhood. Yeah, shout out to Kurt, who works for Sound Transit and told us a little bit about the background for the art. But yeah, I just love that every station has its own little personality.
I parted ways from the rest of our CityCast team at Judkins Park and was able to sort of walk outside the station. And at the entrance to the station, there's even more art. There are two massive, they're called photo murals, I guess, of Jimi Hendrix. One is Jimi Hendrix in his early life, and the other is at the height of his fame. And they were both provided by his sister. They really greet people as they're walking into the station, which I think is very cool.
Wow.
And then Barbara Earl Thomas is the artist, Jane, that you're talking about. And she worked with the Seattle Lighthouse for the Blind to create these little metal plaques that are on the platform itself that have Braille versions of the art so that low vision and blind riders can also experience the artworks while they're there, which I thought was very cool.
What? That's really rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some beautiful little poems on those plaques. There's one that says, "Sudden storms, winds blow, clouds scuttle across the sky, lightning burst, thunder rumbles," which feels very fitting for spring in Seattle, as I feel like we've gotten some version of that in the last week for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. And also, I mean, this was 10 years in the making, and I think was it $4 billion almost that went into this?
Yeah.
Longer than that, I think, right? Okay, so it was first proposed in 1970, like even the idea to have light rail. Funds for that passed in 1996. And then there are all these arguments in the 2010s about like where to put the tracks, which ended up going to the state Supreme Court too.
Oh my God.
And I mean, even in the time that I've lived here more than a decade at this point, but I remember when I first moved here, there was a lot of conversation about if Mercer Island wanted a station. They were like really trying to fight it because some folks felt like it might bring in the riffraff. And, ultimately there's a station in Mercer Island. And it was really cool, actually, getting to get off the train in Mercer and just be like, finally, after all of that conversation and back and forth, we've all agreed on something, and now we actually get to take the train here.
Yeah, I read this really interesting piece in the Seattle Times that was talking about when the highways were built through Seattle, how they really messed up the Central District and essentially pushed people who had already been redlined into that district out of that neighborhood, and how community members are hoping that this light rail sort of reunifies the community in a way and makes people's ability to get in and out of the Central District, just more accessible. So, yeah, I'll be really curious to see kind of how this ends up impacting things. I mean, going more broad than just the Central District, I think it's also going to impact people who either live in Bellevue and commute into Seattle for work or vice versa. And with everything that we're going to talk about later to do with tech and how tech is kind of shaking things up right now in terms of who's employed where, I feel like the train is going to impact that too.
For sure. Yeah, I think it really opens up the east side to just it being easier to get between Seattle and the east side without a car. I think, of course, there have been buses this entire time, but I mean, the reliability of being able to know exactly how long it's going to take and to not have to commit to sitting in traffic potentially seems like a really big deal. I mean, it kind of makes me think of the BART system in the Bay Area, where as that expanded too, people lived further and further out because it became more possible to do a longish commute. Because, I mean, there's a huge difference between an hour on the train and an hour in the car, both in terms of cost and just energy.
And it's worth it for that view, like you guys were saying. You don't get that every day, especially if you have to pay attention to biking or driving or whatever it is you're doing.
I love having not a single thought in my head, just looking out the window on a train. So that is really wonderful. I will say that having ridden my bike to the Bellevue station, I know that, of course, not everyone's going to be like taking the same route as me, but I was coming at South Bellevue station from the north, and I would love to see some infrastructure upgrades for people who are trying to bike there, because there was something that looked like a sidewalk that I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be using as a trail, but otherwise I was just in traffic and people are going like 50 on that road, and I did not love it. Granted, I was only on, I believe it was Bellevue Way for maybe like a mile or so, maybe a couple miles. But, and I mean, I've heard actually similar concerns from cyclists about commuting by bike to the Judkins Park station. Specifically, the off-ramps to 90 are kind of a harrowing spot. Like, people are going fast off of those ramps, and they kind of intersect depending on like which way you're coming from. You might pass them while you're trying to go to or from Judkins. And I don't really know what the long-term solution is going to be there, but it definitely seems like something that people are talking about and trying to push for better infrastructure around.
Yeah, Jane, when you met us at Bellevue Station, Jane looked at me and Ben and was like, "Well, that was a real butt clench of a ride."
It was one of those things where you like, I had to basically figure out how to merge 2 lanes left to be able to get into the left turn lane, because there was like just nowhere to go if I stayed in the right lane. Like if I just stopped, I would just be hit by a car. And there was no sidewalk either, because it was kind of just like a big hill. So it was fun. Love to navigate the world on a bike. And also genuinely love to have light rail as a fill-in for that, so that I don't always have to be in a car.
Totally. Oh, yeah. And Ben was there because you guys were filming this all for social media, right? So like people will be able to go to our Instagram and actually watch and experience that ride with you and get to see Jane matching the train with her jacket, which was my favorite part.
I didn't even realize that was the case until you mentioned that. Just have trains on the brain, you know?
I love that. You dressed for the occasion.
Well, it was a real privilege getting to do this little preview ride. I honestly kind of have chills about it. Like, I really think that this is going to change transit in our region. It is a huge change, and hopefully one that is overall positive for folks. And yeah, if you all want to get out and ride, Saturday at 10 a.m. is when it opens to the public. So go check it out.
It looks like they're setting up a huge celebration and market and stuff like that at Judkins Park Station too.
I heard that Housey is going to be there.
Wow.
Yes, nice.
So if you want to go see Housey, I might need to go meet Housey in person.
The only thing that would make it better is if Boop was there.
True.
Wow.
Much to think
Jane's
about.
legitimately starstruck.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, let's talk about the metaverse. When I first moved to Seattle, I started going to events at Town Hall Seattle as a way of getting to know the city. I've seen events and panel discussions from my favorite authors and thinkers, and I even went to a concert there. Town Hall is a nonprofit with a mission to amplify ideas, foster civil discourse, and connect people through events. They're a community hub. Nearly every night of the week, you'll find a calendar of events spanning civics, science, and arts and culture. And they're housed in a vibrant historic building. The Great Hall is a gorgeous space with stained glass windows, and the Wyncote Northwest Forum got a stunning makeover a few years ago. Coming up on March 29th, ecologist Suzanne Simard and journalist Linda Mapes will discuss the elaborate cycles of forest ecosystems. Get your tickets at townhallseattle.org. Like most Town Hall events, these tickets are being offered on a sliding scale with free tickets for people under 22. Like many Seattleites, I live in an old house, and it can get drafty with these old windows. Lately, my heat has been running nearly constantly. If that's also the case for you, it could be because your window insulation has failed. Window Nation can check that out for you and get you new, custom-built, high-quality windows. Their installation crews finish the job in 1 day or less, and they offer a lifetime warranty on all of their windows, so you can relax knowing your home is protected far into the future. They've installed 3 million windows across the country, and they've got over 45,000 five-star reviews. Right now, the more you buy, the more savings you could enjoy. You can get up to 50% off on all window styles. You can also get them with 0 down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. You can schedule a fast, free estimate now at windownation.com. Again, that's windownation.com. So this week, Meta laid off hundreds of employees. This comes after some January layoffs as well. But at this point, it's not clear what percentage of those employees who were let go are Seattle-based, but the divisions included were, according to the Seattle Times, the company's flagship platform, Facebook, as well as Reality Labs, which is Meta's virtual reality division. I didn't realize that Reality Labs had that name now. I just remember Meta bought Oculus in 2014, and then that became Reality Labs. And this is when they were going really hard into virtual reality as their next thing. Do you all remember this? Like when Zuck was like hard up about metaverse stuff.
Oh, yeah, of course. It was weird then, and it's weird now.
I just was like, they're trying to sell us on a world that has Wii games level of graphics. Like, what about this is a virtual reality world that I would want to exist
I love
in?
Wii games graphics. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sure, as a game, but like, here's the virtual reality you can move your weird legless body around in. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I will say, like, as a person who very easily gets motion sick, virtual reality was already kind of a hard sell for me. And to spend time in virtual reality instead of reality wasn't that appealing for having to, buy the headset and,
No.
figure out whether or not my inner ear was going to rebel against me while I had the headset on moving around. I will say, though, that back in, oh gosh, it must have been like the late 2010s, like a friend of a friend worked for Oculus, and I remember getting to go to Oculus Labs and try out some of their games. And I was impressed with how responsive that technology was. Like, some of the games were actually fun. One of the games was not fun. I was getting shot at and it felt too real. I did not do well with it. But I feel like VR is one of those things that was really touted as like the next big thing. And of course, there's been some buy-in from people, but what is your estimation of where that industry has gone or is going? Like, is that still up and coming, or is it kind of like we tried it and it kind of fizzled?
I mean, I hope it's fizzling, I guess. I'm such a hater. This all reminds me of, I don't know if you guys watch The Office, but Dwight plays this game called Second Life, which is like a multi-user virtual environment. Yeah. And that's basically what I imagined Zuck was selling folks is Second Life. But I do know a lot of people that have like the VR headsets. They like playing video games that way. People use that for like human connection. Though I guess it's not human, but you know what I mean? Like they're kind of like going on like dates and stuff, but it's not real. And they're hanging out places with people who are not real and using VR for that. I don't know. What do you think, Sam?
I sort of feel like VR being like this big thing, we've moved past that, right? As you were saying, Jane, I think it just got incorporated into this is another technology that's available for gaming, for messaging or talking with people, but it's not like this groundbreaking thing that's going to take over every experience we've ever had. And I sort of feel like that's also the direction that AI is going to end up moving in, where it's not, the thing that is at the forefront of every single online experience that you have, but it is a tool that's available as part of this broader suite of technologies. But it is sort of funny to look back on it and be like, for the journalists in the world, it was like the pivot to video, the pivot away from video, the pivot back to video. And I feel like VR is like the similar thing.
I'm so tired, Sam.
So much pivoting. I'm dizzy.
Yeah, no more pivoting, please. Yeah, right. Because wasn't Zuck's whole vision of the metaverse like shops will exist in the metaverse? Like everyone, like basically it's a facsimile of real life. Like we actually will just go hang out in virtual reality and people will like go into the metaverse to like buy whatever it is that they want to buy.
Yeah, I mean, they were selling like designer clothes in virtual reality, and people were buying all kinds of goods for their little avatars. And I mean, that's still true in gaming worlds, right?
Like a Fortnite situation, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dating myself here, but like going all the way back to Neopets, right? We were spending Neo points to like get fancy things for our Neopets. So like this isn't a new concept.
Just bring back Neopets. I feel like that's really the solution here.
Yeah, the giant omelet lives forever.
Of course, this is happening while the company is also investing a lot in AI, like many of the tech companies are. So Meta now has to contend with the fact that Washington just unveiled its first AI chatbot safety law, which requires these platforms to flag any signs of self-harm, to basically limit any kind of explicit content for minors, because people are spending a lot of time chatting with these bots. Like for a while, maybe about a year or two ago, every time I was on Instagram was trying really hard to get me to interact with their bots. And I don't know if they've just, speaking of pivoting, pivoted away from that as well. But Does all of this signal some kind of shift away from an emphasis on, trying to remake everything with like this new virtual world or with our new AI tools? Or, I mean, are we just going to see another pivot after this?
Yeah, I feel like the pivots are never ending. And that's such a good point because that's kind of how I view AI is I think of the metaverse or I think of NFTs, whatever, or like Bitcoin, like whatever like the last big thing was that everyone got into for a while and then it kind of fizzled or, became less popular. And that's, I think, how AI is going to go. But the way that tech companies are leaning into it, I don't know.
Journalists are pointing to this upcoming bubble burst that's supposed to happen. Like a lot of these AI companies are running out of money. This week, OpenAI shut down Sora. Disney dropped their contract with OpenAI. I don't think that means that AI is over. I think it's kind of like the genie that we've let out of the bottle. You can't really get it back in. But I do think this idea, like I was saying, of it being at the forefront of everything we're doing now, people are like, oh, okay, we got to roll that back a little bit and figure out like where do we actually want to deploy this and how is it actually useful? And hopefully that means we're a little more thoughtful about the environmental impact of it as well and like some of the copyright issues that it presents. But that might be me being a little too optimistic.
You sweet summer child.
I know.
I mean, this has also got me thinking about the fact that there have been so many tech layoffs lately. This is just the latest in a huge string. I mean, Amazon, Microsoft have both had big layoffs this year as well. What does this mean for the Seattle area, especially as we're heading into tech layoff territory here? I mean, just generally layoffs, but especially it seems like the tech sector has been hit hard.
For sure. I was going to ask if you guys kind of take this personally almost because we have so much big tech in Seattle and like so many people we know work for these ginormous companies and they have such an impact on our city. Seeing them embrace AI seemingly over workers by laying off people and then like just upping their AI budget, I guess. It's really disappointing and it does kind of scare me when it comes to our city because I don't know what that's going to mean for us if they keep closing offices and laying people off and doing this and that just because they want to use AI more. I actually saw a recent headline in Business Insider that said, I thought using AI and vibe coding could protect me from job cuts, but Amazon still laid me off. That's so sad and so embarrassing. And like, I'm proud of that person for talking about it, but I just really feel for the folks that are probably really worried at those big companies if they don't embrace AI that they might lose their jobs.
Yeah, I feel like I know a fair number of people who work for those companies out of a sense of necessity. Like they have to pay their bills, they have to pay their rent, they need healthcare. And those are the jobs that were available. And now there's this real feeling of like scarcity that's happening in our city. It's frustrating when these big companies come in and completely change the culture of the city and then say, we're done now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really do feel like there are so many separate little bubbles of people in Seattle where I do know a few people who work in tech, but for the most part, a lot of my circles don't really intersect with it. And every once in a while, I'll meet folks from that world and hear from them. And Sam, a lot of them are telling me the same things, right? Like, I don't love my job, but it pays well. It's a steady paycheck. It gives me health care and I need that. And, there's no reason to not continue on this train. Like for me personally, like I kind of need to live. But one does wonder, yeah, like what will happen? I wonder if tech workers will want to stick around, if they're going to try and find another job, if they're going to move, if some of these companies that have been threatening to, start headquarters elsewhere or expand in other cities that might try and create more favorable business conditions for them. Yeah, it's unclear how that's really going to affect the city in the long term and shape the direction of our culture.
I have been referring to Seattle for a long time as Amazon's company town, which, as the resident history nerd on the show, during like the Gilded Age, which was the last time that the wealth disparity was this massive, there were all of these towns where these big companies essentially owned the town. People were being paid in whatever that company's made up currency was. They were buying things from stores owned by the company. And, in the height of Amazon in our city, we had Amazon grocery stores. We had, Amazon's healthcare platform. And, people were with their different badges working for different parts of Amazon. It really felt like we were sort of an Amazon company town. And I feel like we're starting to see the air deflate out of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Walmart headquarters. What is it? Bentonville, I think, Arkansas, is basically a Walmart company town, right? Like, it's like when one business has so much sway over basically it's big enough to create an industry in itself in that city because so many people who live in that place are employed by them and are getting their money directly from that company anyway, that it's like you see a bunch of businesses popping up basically just to support people who work at that company.
Exactly. Yeah. So it will definitely shift Seattle's culture quite a bit as these companies continue to lay people off and shrink their footprint.
Yeah. Because it's not just Amazon, it's Microsoft too. And like, I imagine a lot of people work for both of those companies. And so it'll be really interesting to see how that goes.
Thinking about a really dark future in which we all work in the metaverse as well, but I don't really want to go there. So let's take a break, and when we come back, let's talk about our weekend recommendations.
Hi, CityCast listeners. This is David Plotz. I'm the CEO of CityCast, but I also have another job. I'm one of the hosts of the Political Gabfest, Slate's politics podcast. Every week, I get on mic with my co-hosts Emily Bazelon and John Dickerson, and we talk about politics and a lot more about other things that we care about. The Gabfest has been going for more than 20 years because the three of us love talking to each other, and we have an amazing community of listeners. If you like the open-hearted, curious way CityCast approaches cities, I think you'll like the Political Gabfest too. Stream it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast.
If you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen so you never miss an episode. Also, leave us a little review. It's really helpful. And tell your friends about us. You can also get more local news and events delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter. Just go to seattle.citycast.fm. And you can find us on Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at CityCast Seattle. And you can watch full episodes of this show on YouTube. All right, you all. What do you want to shout out this week? What has brought you joy?
We might all have the same highlight.
Okay, yeah, I have one. What's your highlight?
Definitely our neighbor event. We got to meet some of our neighbors in real life and hand them their like beautiful prints and chat with them for a bit, buy them some coffee. And that was lovely.
It was so cool. I feel like often, we like get in front of our mics and we record this podcast and we have fun doing it. It kind of sometimes just feels like it goes into the ether. Mm-hmm. So to meet people in real life who are like, we listen to this and we enjoy it. It's really just, it warmed my cold dead heart. It was really, really nice. And it was actually so cold that day and so rainy. And so I extra appreciate that people schlepped through the rain to Bon Ami, which, by the way, is like the cutest place of all time.
Gorgeous.
I hadn't been there before that and made me feel like I should hang out in Belltown more often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Inside of the Labor Temple building, it's stunning. I was listening to some archival radio documentaries from like the 90s over the weekend. Because,
of course you were, Sam.
Yeah, I was going to say, of course.
I'm sorry. I'm such a caricature of myself, but here we are. And this woman was talking about like how seriously she took her job of kind of being on the radio and coming into people's homes and, being in their kitchens and being in their bathrooms and being wherever they had a radio. And that felt like this really big responsibility. And I think in an era where everyone and their dad has a podcast mic, some of that goes away. But like meeting people and getting to talk to them about the things they care about in their city and seeing like the full range of people who listen to our show. Someone rode up on a hoverboard, other people rode the bus, some people drove in, just like such a range of people in terms of the jobs that they work. And I don't know, it really is like an honor to get to represent our city and to get to do this job. So
no, totally. It's a complete privilege and I love that.
You want to do a good job. And it's nice when you meet people that kind of get what you're doing or support what you're doing in some way.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you to our neighbors who showed up. So nice to meet you all. We're going to be having more neighbor events in coming months. So if you all are interested in, I don't know, like hanging out IRL, you should join CityCast Seattle Neighbors and hang out with us.
We want to meet you.
Yeah. All right. What else is bringing you joy? And what are you all doing this weekend?
Well, I'm just going to continue being an absolute stereotype. This weekend, my friend and I are going nettle foraging. It is
wow.
Okay. It's the beginning of nettle season. Spring has fully sprung, and so dandelions and nettles are out and ready to be eaten. And I'm so excited. Nettle pesto is one of my favorite things to make in the spring. And the nettles, apparently, I've been told by other forager friends, are going nuts right now. So we're going to go on a little hike. We're going to bring, some gloves and some clippers and some bags and harvest a bunch of nettles.
Wait, besides nettle tea, like what does one do with nettles?
So nettle pesto you can do like you would with basil leaves, but you blanch the nettle leaves to get rid of the sting, and then you blend them in. You can also do nettle soup. Basically, it's like a light kind of nutty, herby flavor. So you can use it the way you would like any herb. And they're full of all of those like spring nutrients that we need coming out of the winter. And if people are curious about learning more about it, Old Growth Table is a podcast by Valerie Segrest, who's an amazing Indigenous teacher, nutritionist, and also podcaster. And their first episode of Old Growth Table, she talks about nettles and dandelions and how to cook with them and how to responsibly forage for them as well. And she also talks about the teaching that for Indigenous folks in the region, they actually often pick the nettles with their bare hands. You have to go really, really slowly and with a lot of intention so that they don't prick you. And then you're able to harvest them barehanded, which I think is so cool because nettles will really get you if you're not being mindful.
I'm fascinated. I got to go look more about this later. That's incredible.
Yeah, that's so cool.
What are you doing this weekend, Ashley?
I think I'm going to check out they're like celebrating women's hockey, having this event at Urban Family in Ballard. And Onda Coffee is going to be there. Onda. It's Onda. I've been really wanting to try that coffee place. Their social media presence is fantastic. It has reeled
really
me
is.
in. And they have a Seattle propaganda shirt that I really want to buy. So I'm hoping they're going to bring some of their merch to Urban Family. I'm going to do that on Saturday. Sunday, I'm going to go to the Torrent game. And then sometime in between that, I'm going to do part 3 of the Olmsted 50, which if you guys are not familiar, it's like the 50-kilometer walk that you can do around Seattle. And it's from the Ballard Locks to Rainier Beach. And it's about 31 miles. Some people can do it in a day or a weekend, but my friends and I have broken it up into 5. So we're doing like 4 to 6 miles each time. And part 3 happening this weekend as long as the weather's nice.
That sounds so lovely.
Yeah.
I'm also going to be at that Torrent game because it is my husband's birthday weekend. Happy birthday to my husband if he is listening.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. That'll be fun. If I see you, I'll have to high five you.
Yes. I feel like there is this wonderful meetup at the big climate pledge like plant wall. I remember when Sam and I were there, several months ago at this point. I think it's between the second and third periods, and it's just like this really lovely group of people who like swap pins and merch and just all hang out. So
they give little bracelets. I got this one while I was there. They were just giving little bracelets away.
I got a Hannah Bilka bracelet
names.
when I was there. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Cute. I love that.
All right. Well, it sounds like you all have a wonderful set of plans for your weekend. And listeners, I hope you all do as well. That's all for today here at CityCast Seattle. Sam, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Jane.
And Ashley, thank you for being here.
Of course.
I'm your host, Jane Sihu. Our executive producer is Ashley Smith. Our creative producers are Sam J. Leeds and Liam Billingham. Post-production this week was done by PJ Shahamat. Our audience development manager is Ben Keenan. Music is by Aaron Taylor Waldman, All the Kimonos, and Los Mocachetes, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. Our ad music is by Sven Lindvall and Sarah the Instrumentalist from Epidemic Sounds via Getty Images. And if you all have thoughts about what to do this weekend, or if you are also really excited about riding the Crosslake connection, send us an email at seattle@citycast.fm. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail on the CityCast hotline at 206-880-3931. Until next week, see ya, Seattle.